So I had my tongue split like 4 years ago, which means that it's been more than 5 years since I have been thinking about making a channel. I remember when I first booked in to have it split, I looked up a whole bunch of, or all of the healing diaries and stuff that I could find, and I just wish more people contributed like that, but geez, it's so hard to get motivated to do. It's so easy to put off, but whatever. It's better late than never. I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience, like what it was like, what the actual procedure was like, healing, and sort of what I wish I knew beforehand. I made a couple of silly, I don't know, you'll hear about it. I made some silly lapses in judgment, mistakes. Do as I say, not as I do. Listen to your modification artist. You know, this is just, it's just fun to hear about it before you have it done. I don't know, I might have some helpful tips. We'll see. Alright, so to start with, I had my tongue split in like 2016 by Brendan Russell, or B-Slice. He was working out of New South Wales at the time, but was coming down to Melbourne for a tattoo convention, and he posted a couple of weeks in advance and said that he had a couple of available appointments still. So I booked in then, and in that time I watched like all of the healing diaries I could find. I didn't know much about the procedure that I would be having done from Brendan. Namely, I specifically didn't ask whether or not it would be numbed. Like, I know that it is a, like, it's a legal gray area, and I really wanted it split. I know I'm too proud to wimp out if, like, if I got there and it wouldn't be numb, I'm too proud to walk out. So I would have it done, and then at least at the end of it, like, I would still get my split. Pain is temporary and all of that. Easy to say when you're not going through it, but whatever. So I didn't know whether or not it would be numb beforehand. It was numbed. A pleasant surprise. So nice. But alright, so had it done by Brendan. It was like $700. I had it done at a tattoo studio just around the corner. And when they were doing it, so they put a clamp on either side, mark out the split. We did the scalpel and suture method. I guess it's the most common method. I have seen some people do it, like, cauterize it. But the end result, I prefer the look, like the more natural look of like the rounded edges with the scalpel and suture method. So it starts with like 10 injections through like top and bottom of your tongue, or in my experience, so it was like 10 shots through the top and bottom of my tongue, and they used a scalpel to make the split and sutured it, and I felt a little nauseous, but I couldn't feel, like, I felt tugging, and that was it. It was easy, like I could feel blood coming down my chin. But that was it until like the last couple of sutures, which were a little bit tender but super manageable. Straight after the split, they took this video for their social media, which I'll post here. I was feeling so good. I'm like, oh, I would do this again in a second. That was, you know, easy within reason. Easy for a split. Yeah, it was really manageable. I was feeling, you know, like I was going to coast, which didn't end up being the case. That's okay. Worth it, but nevertheless. My friend drove me home, and I live like an hour from the city, and I remember maybe 15-20 minutes into the drive home. We're in peak hour traffic, and oh my god, when the numbing wears off, it's so unpleasant. Oh my god, it was so progressively worse. But up until then, I'd been, you'd bleed and you drool quite a lot, and I'd been swallowing that because I didn't want to make a mess in my friend's car, and I didn't come prepared with like a cup or something to drool in. So I just stuck it out for like 20 minutes, and we stopped at a 7-Eleven, and I just got like a drink cup. Oh my gosh, like to drool in, and oh my god, by the time I got home, I remember walking inside and just like open mouth, drooling and crying. And my mom came and dropped off some tramadol, like some pain relief. And there are a couple of things that I wish I knew before I got it split. One, take pain relief before the numbing wears off. That would have been so much easier, and just keeping up with the pain relief to like keep that edge off would have absolutely coasted. It would have been groovy, but it wasn't to be. So I just went, had a shower, and just like dropped them in my mouth, and with shower water like swallowed, and eventually they went down. But oh my god, it was so unpleasant. And I just went to bed. I had a bunch of towels just stacked next to my pillow so that I could just bring a new one on, because you sleep like this and you just drool constantly for pretty much until the sutures are out. It's a long time and it sucks. So I woke up at like midnight, and at this time I realized I probably should have started this process hydrated. I never remember to drink water. I don't take very good care of myself, especially then. And of course, oh, how silly, I knew I would drool a lot. That makes you so dehydrated. I did not consider this. So at like midnight, I crawled to the bathroom and like baby bird drank as much water as I could, which was like limited success, and crawled back to bed, went back to sleep, and from there, like I took like one tramadol in the morning and one at night for the first few days, and after that I didn't need anything else. The pain is really easy to manage. It's just that first little bit that was really, really awful, and that could have so easily been avoided. And even being constantly dehydrated throughout, being hydrated to start with would have could have hit the ground running rather than starting out on the back foot. So those are a couple of little things. If I could go back and alter those, would have been so much easier. But anyway, so that was day 1. Day 2 is unpleasant, like everyone's kind of unpleasant, where you're just constantly drooling. It's pretty painful, it's pretty swollen. I wasn't able to eat. Yeah, I'll go through this by the day, I guess. It'll be easier for me to keep track. Yeah, didn't get up to much day 2. It was just really swollen and sore. Day 3, I started getting like a lot of white around the sutures, especially the tip of my tongue, one side more than the other, which the white tip subsequently fell off. Day 3, I wasn't able to walk. I just stayed in bed and crawled to the bathroom. Yeah, look, okay, so there are a couple of things, like now, at that time I was like, alright, going back, Brendan said, if you have anything weird, thoughts, feelings, concerns, I'm a text message away any hour. You can message me anytime. So this wasn't for lack of aftercare from him. And like, I just didn't want to make my problem somebody else's. I didn't want to go to the doctor and waste their time and, yeah, you know, take their time away from somebody who didn't do this to themselves or didn't choose to do this, if that makes sense. I'm not the same person now. I would have just gone to the doctor and said, look, this is happening, you know, what's up? But no, I just rode the wave, so I just figured, you know, this is probably normal. But day 4 or 5, like, that white tip of the end of my tongue, like, did end up, like, coming off. It's the tiniest bit. I'm making it sound worse than it was, but I was pretty sick. I had a pretty, like, rocky healing experience. Day 4 was the first time I tried to eat. I tried to eat, like, lukewarm, really watered down soup. And I vomited, and I didn't try and eat again until the sutures came out, because it was really unpleasant trying to clean puke from sutures. So, right, I don't know if there's anything else really notable to say. It was just a bad week. It was just a really bad week. And I think that I've mentioned, like, everything that you can probably learn from and think to yourself, don't do that. Like, I look back and I think, changed a couple of little things and that would have been so smooth. Next time when I get it resplit, it's gonna be groovy. It's gonna be easy. Super easy. But, yeah, go to your doctor if you're concerned. That's silly. But, yeah, I just don't want to be an inconvenience on other people. I would have been a bigger inconvenience had I got more sick than I was. So that's important to remember. But, yeah, what else? So, I don't know. I just survived that week, you know. Constantly drooling. I remember, like, the tips of my tongue were really sensitive. That was, like, the most unpleasant. The rest of the tongue, it felt fine. It only took a few days for it to stop feeling, like, painful for anything to touch those sutures. And, yeah, like, the swelling went down. It got a lot easier to sleep. Like, I'd wake up sometimes having, like, the end sutures, like, catch on my teeth or something like that in my sleep. Such a sad and bad way to wake up. Just the tip sutures are so painful. That could have something to do, like, that could just be to do with my rough healing experience, or maybe it is just how it is in general, but whatever. Anyway, I remember when day 8 rolled around, when I had the sutures out, like, I was not feeling as rough. It was mostly, like, day 3, 4, and 5, like, I could not walk. But day 7, when sutures were out, I was really weak. But, and it was, like, it felt like such a long way. But I walked down to the pharmacy, it's like 600 meters down the road, and got, like, nail cutting scissors. And I went and I sat in the sink and I took out the sutures, and Mum came over and she brought over, like, rice and curry, and I ate, and oh my god, it was so good. It was so good. And as soon as I took out the sutures, it was no longer painful to touch my tongue. Even, like, on the inside, it's not super tender. It's only if you, like, pinch it, then there's deep pain, but there's no more like, stinging pain on the outside. It heals so quick. Bodies are amazing. Bodies are so cool. So as soon as the sutures were out, and throughout this process, like, while sutures are in, from day 1, you need to be separating your tongue all the time. Your tongue is just trying to heal back together, and it's easy when the sutures are in to pull it apart and to know how far apart to pull it, and, like, usually the more frequently you separate like that new tissue on your tongue, the less painful it is, the easier it is. If you leave it a longer time, then it's really connected and it's painful to like pinch your tongue and pull it apart, and obviously it's slippery and unpleasant. But yeah, so back to day 7. As soon as I ate and those stitches were out, I was so tired. I just went back to bed and I slept for like something like 16 hours, and by the time I woke up, oh my god, it was so hard to take out to separate my tongue again. Like the end was easy within reason, the back was so hard, and I hate thinking about it, but like the anchor stitch way at the back is the one that keeps your split in place, or like these ones just hold stuff together. The anchor stitch at the back is what is like your guiding line for how far back you need to separate it when you do separate it, so that you don't just embed that suture in your tongue indefinitely, you know? Not having that guide and not having that pressure to get it all the way back to that made it so easy to just be like not in the right mindset and just be like, oh look, I've survived the week, it split, I've got it back pretty far, how much does that centimeter really mean to me? In hindsight, a lot. Like, I care about it enough to have it resplit. I want to say in that first week, I lost like 30% of my split. It started out really, really deep. So I didn't care so much about losing any of it, but now I do, and I just wish it was deep again. And look, it might have been inevitable. It probably wasn't. I specifically remember looking at it and I was like a centimeter from where the anchor suture used to be, and looking at it and thinking, I'm going back to bed. Pains me to know it. But anyway, I did this to myself. So yeah, so I want to say I lost like 30% in that first week even. In the first couple of months, I probably lost like 40%, and now 4 years later, I'm probably sitting at, I mean, maybe I've got 50% or 60 or 40 or 50% left remaining of my initial split. And like, I think it's plateaued now. I think that this is where it stays, or, you know, it's slowed down exponentially. But yeah, I'd love to have it resplit again. It's hard to find a week to take off life, but you know, knowing what I know now, geez, I would have such an easier time, and I would get it done again in a second. I even remember at day 7, like just after I got the sutures out and I ate, I thought, if I could have a day to eat, I would do this again. I would do this again tomorrow. I love it. Like, yeah, it's so worth it. If it's something that you want, it's so worth doing. But yeah, it doesn't have to be as unpleasant a time as I had when I had mine done. So I'll show you what it looks like now. Okay, so yeah, you can see where I was pointing is where the initial split went back to, so it was nice and deep. It was so nice. Whereas now, I don't know, I feel like I've got next to nothing left. I really want it redone. But like, that is a little bit to talk about. So the person who did my split, I want to say like 12 months ago, like they went through some stuff. They did a body modification, and it was a subdermal implant, and the person who got that modification got blood poisoning and they lost their life. And he no longer does modifications. He's dealing with that you know, hindsight's 2020. At the time, I thought that I would be an inconvenience on doctors and nurses or whatever for going in and getting treatment when I was really unwell. Hindsight, my issues were almost definitely all me, not to do with not to do with the person who did it. It was more like, yeah, more than likely my aftercare or whatever. Like, stuff just happens with bodies. It's how it is. But yeah, it's what you do with that. And I should not have ridden that wave, and I don't recommend anybody else do that. Gee, I look back and I'm like, right, if I had have gone on antibiotics, because that was probably an infection, right, I forgot to mention. Okay, you can see how that side of my tongue is quite a bit shorter. Like, that was the more, look, it was never diagnosed as infected. I feel it's probably safe to say that it was infected, but that was the side that was more affected by turning white and falling off. And yeah, look, like I think back at that, and it wasn't just my body that I was messing with and not respecting. It was also, if something more had have happened to me, then that reflects really, really poorly on somebody who's put themselves out to do that modification for me. So, you know, just respect your artist, look after yourself, try your best. If I had gone on antibiotics and, look, probably IV fluids, yeah, look, I could have bypassed such a rough healing experience and had such a cruisy time. So yeah, just, like, listen to your body and don't just write stuff off and have a she'll be right type attitude. If you need to see a doctor, go do it. But what else? I don't know. I had a lisp for, I want to say like 6 months, and it progressively got better. I'm listening to myself now, and I think maybe I do still have a tiny lisp, but who knows? I don't know. I remember the weekend after I got my sutures out, I went back to work. I was a dog groomer, and my work had signed me out to do this grooming convention, like the Dog Lovers Expo or something like that, shortly after, you know, several days after my sutures were out, and oh my god, it was the most shameful experience of my life. You could not understand a thing I was saying. I had the worst lisp that made me I should not have been doing the public speaking job I was doing at that time. Like just that day. It was bad timing, but whatever. It's funny now. But gee, yeah. If you've got important speaking things, reschedule it if you can, or just get someone else to do it. You have a list for a bit. I don't know, I feel like nothing has changed. People don't know I have it unless I show them. I really, really love it. I don't know why, but it's one of my favorite things that I've done. And yeah, I don't know. If it's something that you really want to do, it's so worth doing, especially if you bypass silly problems. Pop a comment down below. If you have any questions about anything, I'm happy to have a chat about whatever. Yeah, thanks for sticking out this tough video. I don't know if I've forgotten to say anything. I can't wait to be more comfortable doing this and to look back at this video and cringe and delete it out of shame, because I'm doing better then. I'm hoping to get over this hump. But this is really hard to do. I shout out to people on YouTube. But yeah, cool. Alright, comment down below with questions about whatever. I'm probably gonna make, or I intend to make more videos. We'll see. Motivation can be fleeting, but on an unrelated note, like I had been doing animal rescue and being involved in like vegan, animal rights, animal activism community for my entire adult life, and I haven't really branched out and been not a part of that community exclusively, and I haven't made any time to be like human, or like there's no facet of my life that isn't just involved around you know, activism. So yeah, I don't know, it'll be cool to make videos sometimes. I'm gonna try and be consistent with it, and so just so that I have some kind of social media that's just like a human outside of activism. But yeah, cool. Thanks for sticking it out.